It starts when the test papers come back, and my name sits at the top of the board in bold black marker, 99. I blink at the number because I've never seen it next to my name before. Around me, chair scrape and quiet muttering fills the math room. Nobody looks happy. Miss Harris looks furious. She taps the top corner of my paper with a red nail and says, "Stay after class, please." My stomach drops. She finishes handing everything out, the room heavy with the smell of dry erase markers and stress. When the bell rings, everyone floods out like water escaping a broken pipe. I stay seated, trying to look casual, like I'm not about to be interrogated. When it's just the two of us, she leans against her desk. The sound of traffic drifts in through the half-open window. "You made quite a jump," she says. "Last exam you barely passed. Now you outscored everyone by 20 points. I studied," I say automatically. "Who helped you?" "No one. I just work through the problems again. I watched tutorials, practiced." Her expression doesn't soften. "That's wonderful effort, but the answers you wrote match word for word the unofficial solution sheet that was circulating online." "What solution sheet?" She slides my paper toward me. "You even copied the same rounding errors." Heat rushes into my face. I didn't even know there was one. I helped people on the review day last week. It must have spread because of me. I solved problems on the board, remember? She tilts her head. "Yes, I remember. You seem to already know the exact equations I plan to test. How would you know that?" I open my mouth, then close it. I don't know. I guessed based on what we'd repeated most often in class. The formulas she emphasized. I start to explain that, but my voice shakes too much. "I just got lucky." "Too lucky," she says quietly. She reaches for a pink slip from the drawer, the disciplinary form. "You need to see Vice Principal Lopez." The form sits between us like a detonator. The unfairness presses down until I feel smaller than the desk chair. "Miss Harris, I swear I didn't cheat. Ask anyone. I was helping them, not copying." Her eyes soften just a fraction. "Then you won't mind an investigation." By lunch, the rumor has mutated beyond recognition. People whisper as I pass. "He hacked the system. He found the answer key. He sold it." My tray trembles in my hands. I leave the cafeteria before I drop it. In the hallway, my friend Janelle jogs up. "Hey," she hisses. "People think you leaked answers." "I didn't." "I know. But everyone's freaking out because you helped us review and half the class used your worksheet. Now Harris thinks you stole the key." "My worksheet was just my notes." "Yeah, but your notes were perfect." Perfect. The word should feel good. Instead, it's poison in my throat. After last period, I sit outside the vice principal's office, surrounded by posters about honesty and integrity. The hum of the old AC unit fills my ears. When Ms. Lopez finally calls me in, she gestures for me to sit. Her tone is calm, practiced. "We received evidence that the answer set for the calculus test was copied from material posted to a student forum. Your version matches it almost completely." "I didn't even know it existed," I say again. I explain the review session, the notes, everything. She listens, fingers steepled. "If what you're saying is true, we'll need to verify with your classmates. Until then, we'll have to place a hold on your grade." "So I get punished while I prove I'm innocent?" I ask. "In part," she sighs. "That's not what I said. It's protocol." Protocol feels like losing before I even start. I go home with a letter from my parents. Dad reads it silently, then looks at me over the top of his glasses. "You swear you didn't?" "I swear," I whisper. He nods slowly. Then we fix it, one way or another. That night, I barely sleep. The anonymous forum where the leaked answers supposedly came from murmurs in my head like a bad dream. At 2 a.m., I throw on a hoodie, open my laptop, and start searching. It takes an hour to find the thread Miss Lopez mentioned. When I finally locate the post, my lungs seize. The solutions are there, typed out neatly, identical to my process. but posted 2 days after the review session. By Math Master 99. Underneath it, another comment. Thanks to TM for the amazing notes during review day. Saved us all. TM, my initials. I stare until the screen blurs. Someone took my whiteboard notes, or the photocopies I handed out, and uploaded them to the forum. Everyone had used them, and because they were perfect, now they looked stolen. I print screenshots and bring them to school clutched like a lifeline. The next morning, Miss Lopez listens as I explain. Someone posted my notes, I tell her. Look, the timestamp, the user, people even thanked me. She studies them carefully. So you're saying you created the solutions independently, and students used your version without permission? Exactly. I never saw the post until last night. We'll verify, she says. She sends an email from her computer while I watch, forwarding the files to Miss Harris. The next day, the entire class sits buzzing as Harris enters with a folder. I owe someone an apology, she begins. Eyes finding me. The room turns. It appears the solutions circulating online were copied from Mr. Tien's own review notes. He produced them himself and shared them publicly. I made an assumption I shouldn't have. She takes a breath. For that, I'm sorry. Whispers course through the desks. Relief floods so quickly I almost feel dizzy. Bless Janelle. She starts clapping, and half the class joins in. After class, Miss Harris pulls me aside. You're talented, she admits. That's exactly why I worried. People rarely improve this fast without crossing a line. I get it, I say. Just next time, maybe ask before writing the referral form. She winces, but smiles. Fair. By the final bell, everything finally weighs less. Janelle meets me by the lockers. Hero or villain, she asks. Neither, I say, laughing. Just the guy whose notes were too good. Still, when I get home, I open my laptop and scroll to the forum thread again. Students from other schools are asking for copies now. I type a brief reply, use them if you want. Just learn, don't cheat. Then I close it and let the quiet settle. The clean, earned kind of quiet that sounds a lot like justice. A week later, the noise finally dies down, but I can still feel it in the hallways. The whispers have turned into curious looks instead of accusations. People don't stare with suspicion now. They stare like maybe I'm some kind of math hero. It's weird. Janelle starts calling me professor. I tell her to stop, but it sticks anyway. Miss Harris slowly softens too. She begins asking me to solve problems on the board again, this time with an almost grin instead of suspicion. Would the professor show us the derivative of this function? She says one morning, and the class snickers. I step up anyway, aware of every scratch of marker against the whiteboard. When I finish, she nods thoughtfully. That's neat work. Maybe you should write an official study guide for next semester. It's meant as encouragement, I think. But my chest tightens. Can I? Of course, she says, and for the first time, I realize that transparency might protect me better than secrecy ever could. After class, she stops me near the door. For what it's worth, she adds, you helped more people than you know. Half the students who used your notes said it's the first time math made sense. Then maybe cheating paid off in reverse, I joke. But she shakes her head. No, honesty just proved louder. I go home and open my laptop again. The thread on the student forum has exploded, hundreds of comments from unknown usernames. Thanks, TM. Finally understood integrals. Wish my teachers explained it like this. I scroll through them stunned. For days I debated deleting the whole thing, but now I see it's grown beyond our tiny classroom. So I upload a new post, this time under my real name, Free Calculus Notes, Edition 2. Official, authorized, and teacher approved. My phone buzzes all evening with strangers liking and downloading. Monday morning, someone from the principal's office calls me over the intercom. The whole class oohs like I'm in trouble again. My stomach knots, But this time, the meeting is short and completely different. Mr. Landy, the principal, shakes my hand. "We'd like to recognize you for academic initiative," he says. "We're considering adding a peer tutoring program, and Harris says you'd be a perfect fit." I sit there blinking. "So I'm not suspended?" He laughs. "Quite the opposite." That afternoon, Miss Harris announces the tutoring pilot to the class. She writes "Ask TM Fridays" on the board. "He's not being punished," she clarifies. "He's volunteering." Students start clapping like I just won a talent show. Janelle leans over and whispers, "You realize you went from accused criminal to free tutor in a week?" "It's my villain redemption arc," I whisper back. The first Friday session is small. 3 sophomores who heard about my notes, and a kid from our class who still doesn't believe I didn't cheat. We sit in the library, pencils tapping, the smell of old pages thick in the air. By the end of the hour, they're laughing, actually enjoying derivatives. One of them looks up and says, "You should teach for real." When I tell Mom at dinner, she raises an eyebrow. "Should I start calling you professor too?" "Please don't," I groan, but she smiles. "I'm proud of you," she says simply. And that word proud lands heavier than every accusation combined. By finals week, the rumor about me has flipped completely. Now if someone fails a quiz, the insult isn't "you cheated." It's "you should have gone to TM." Even Miss Harris jokes, "If I ever get stuck writing the test key, I know who to call." Somewhat details. The last day of school, she hands me a sealed envelope. Inside is a letter of recommendation for the summer mentorship program I'd once only dreamed about. At the bottom she's written, "Integrity survives everything." I fold it carefully into my notebook. Walking out past the lockers, the sunlight through the front doors feels different. Brighter, earned. Janelle runs up beside me. "So what now, genius?" "Now," I grin. "Now I help the class again, just without the drama." She laughs, links her arm through mine, and we step outside into summer, leaving behind the ghosts of wrong assumptions and carrying something better. Proof that doing the right thing eventually drowns out every doubt. Summer comes with warm air and quiet halls, and suddenly the school that once felt like a courtroom turns into an empty stage. I volunteer anyway. Every Friday morning, I unlock the math room, prop the door open, and wait for any stragglers who want help. The first week, only 2 students show up. By July, a dozen kids pile in, balancing notebooks and iced coffees. They call it math club, though all we really do is untangle equations and complain about the heat. Miss Harris sometimes sits in the back grading papers. Watching her smile faintly when a kid finally figures out a problem feels like finding the missing variable I've been chasing all year. When she catches my eye, she mouths, "Told you teaching suits you." I roll mine but secretly agree. One afternoon she stops me as everyone leaves. "The district director saw your forum posts," she tells me. "He wants to showcase your notes as a resource next year. We'll credit you, of course." Credit. A word that used to sting, now feels clean. I nod, can't stop smiling. "I guess this means no one thinks they're stolen anymore." She laughs. "Not unless you steal from yourself." After she leaves, I sit in the silent room, sunlight pooling across the desks, and realize how strange life is. 2 months ago, the same smell of dry erase ink meant humiliation. Now it smells like proof that clarity wins if you stay long enough. In August, the mentorship program starts. They pair me with an actual math teacher at the local community college. On my first day, I stand in front of a small group of students wearing my nervousness like a name tag. "Hey," I say, "I'm technically still in high school, so if I mess up, just pretend it's part of the lesson." They laugh and the tension breaks. By the second week, something shifts. A shy freshman named Olivia lingers after class, notebook clutched tight. "Can I ask something?" She blurts. "What did you do when everyone thought you cheated?" I blink. "How do you know about that?" "It's kind of a legend," she admits. "But how did you not just quit?" I think for a long second. The answer comes out quiet. because quitting would have meant they were right about me. She nods like she's storing the line for later. Maybe she'll need it someday. That night, I messaged Janelle about it. She replies instantly, "See? Told you, Professor." I groan aloud, but the grin stays stuck on my face. A new school year rolls around, the rumor has taken its final shape. Freshmen whisper about the senior who was wrongly accused and turned the scandal into a tutoring empire. I hear my story echoing down hallways. Warped and funny, but it doesn't bother me. Legends are supposed to change in retelling. Truth only needs to stay true to itself. Miss Harris corners me one morning before homeroom. "College applications?" "Working on them. Use the letter I wrote. And maybe mention what you'd bill here. That counts for more than grades." Later, as I fill out an essay question, "Describe a challenge that changed you," I don't write about the accusation or even the investigation. I write about the first day a student stayed after class just to understand something difficult, and the weight felt to explain until the light clicked in their eyes. I write about choosing patience over pride. When I finish, I sign my full name at the bottom, the same signature that used to feel fragile. Now, it feels exact. On the last Friday of summer, I lock the math room one last time. The walls echo with faint laughter, ghost chalk dust on my hands. I take a picture of the empty whiteboard and send it to Ms. Harris with a caption, "Everything balanced at last." She texts back a single thumbs-up emoji, followed by a tiny equation, sigma equals 1. I walk outside into the afternoon heat where Janelle waits on the steps, 2 smoothies in hand. "The professor retires?" she jokes. "Graduates," I correct, taking 1 cup. Huge difference. We sit there in the sunlight, sipping victory disguised as mango drinks. For once, the world feels in perfect proportion. Unknowns solved, remainder 0.